Poverty line unveiled, but more work lies ahead. 2 hurt in small plane crash in Sekong. And a landmark phone call between the American and Iranian presidents.
Good evening. Hong Kong now has an official poverty line. It's been set at half the city's median monthly household income. According to government figures last year, that means less than 20% of the people here are living in poverty. As Evelina Leung reports, the chief executive said the problem can't totally be eliminated, but the poverty line will help the government implement policies to help those in need.
Who are considered poor in Hong Kong? According to the new poverty line, about 1.31 million people. That's based on government figures in 2012. The poverty line has now been set at half the median monthly household income of the city's population. For example, a one-person family making less than $3,600 a month and a 2-member household making less than $7,700 would fall below the line. However, the number of poor dropped after they were offered subsidies. For example, one-off subsidies such as the $6,000 cash handout and public rental waiver reduced the number of poor to about 800,000. The government said it would take $28.8 billion to move the 1.31 million poor people above the poverty line.
Based on the statistics that we have analyzed, it is quite obvious to us that the working poor as a category will be a priority area. These are households who are at the moment not assisted by the Comprehensive Social Security Assistance Scheme. Within these households, we find there's quite a large number of children. So we are really guided by the philosophy that we should provide as many opportunities as possible for upward social mobility and to tackle this phenomenon of intergenerational poverty. Then I would say that the working poor households with children will be one of the priorities.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying said the problem of poverty cannot be totally eliminated. But he stressed the government has been looking into ways to tackle this issue.
The chief executive stressed the problem of poverty in Hong Kong can't be solved by simply offering cash handouts to those in need. He said the government has been looking into other solutions to solve the problem, such as further developing Hong Kong's economy, which will increase salaries and reduce unemployment.
Lawmaker Lee Chuk-yan said the government should raise the minimum wage to help breadwinners take better care of their family. And to help poor elderly people, Nelson Chow of the University of Hong Kong's Department of Social Work said the administration should consider whether subsidies being offered to them right now are enough. Ho Hei-wah, director of the Society for Community Organization, pointed out the administration does have the ability to eliminate poverty. He called for more government resources to fight the problem. Evelina Leung, TVB News.
A private fixed-wing plane crash-landed this morning at the Sekong airfield. 2 people were slightly hurt. The Civil Aviation Department will launch an investigation into the incident. João de Silva reports.
It happened at around 10 o'clock this morning. The small private plane, a Cessna 172, overturned on the lawn by the airfield after crash landing there. Firefighters arrived at the scene shortly afterwards. The plane was carrying its pilot and 3 passengers. 2 of the passengers, a man and a woman, suffered minor injuries. The pilot and the 3rd passenger were not hurt. The plane belongs to the Hong Kong Aviation Club, which uses the Shek Kong airfield on weekends. It was removed from the airfield's lawn hours later. Before the handover, the airbase was used by the British Forces Overseas Hong Kong. After 1997, it was taken over by the People's Liberation Army for training purposes. This is Hong Kong's 3rd accident involving small private aircraft in nearly 6 years. Back in 2007, a single-engine, 2-seat aircraft was forced to make an emergency landing at the Plover Cove Reservoir because of engine failure. No one was injured. And in 2009, a helicopter hit a coach at the old Kai Tak airport. João da Silva, TVB News.
Yes, we have too much rubbish to deal with, and now the government wants public feedback on how to do just that. Executive Councillor Bernard Chan, who helped draft the waste tax consultation paper released earlier this week, said step one is to give people an incentive to make waste-reducing lifestyle changes. 90% of Hong Kong residents live in buildings that have management committees, while the remaining 10% do not. They live, for example, in village houses or unauthorised subdivided units. Speaking to TVB News today, the chairman of the Council for Sustainable Development said the 4-month-long waste tax consultation is aimed at figuring out the best way to cover different living arrangements.
I envision that we're not going to have one formula for all. We're probably going to have a different collection method for, say, shorter buildings without building management. So they might have to actually take their trash to a designated drop-off point.
Many have doubted the feasibility of a waste tax when there's a lack of supporting waste reduction policies and facilities, such as for recycling. Still, Chan said it's an important first step, expressing confidence that these would be dealt with in time for the government's goal to implement the waste tax in 2016.
The whole charging scheme is to encourage people to start to change our behavioral practice. We right now, trash means nothing to anyone because it doesn't cost you anything. So that mentality needs to change. Once we can agree with the charging mechanism, I believe that all the other issues will be somehow sorted out.
He added that active problem solving will invariably bring out new opportunities.
That there could be a new industry that will come up. There may be some intermediaries will come and help you to deliver these things, right? So you never know. I think once you have the system in place, I believe things will happen.
Overseas, and the United States and Iran took a major step toward ending more than 3 decades of icy relations as U.S. President Barack Obama and Iranian President Hassan Rouhani talked on the phone yesterday. The 15-minute conversation marked a clear sign the two countries are serious about reaching a pact on Iran's disputed nuclear program. Alan Booknear reports.
Prior to the phone call, Rouhani held a news conference where he reiterated that Iran has no intention of building nuclear weapons. He also said he hopes the seven-nation talks on Iran's nuclear program will yield tangible results in a short period of time. Then, in his car on the way to the airport, Rouhani's aides placed a call to the White House Oval Office. President Obama got on the phone. Later, Obama met with the media to talk about the call.
The two of us discussed our ongoing efforts to reach an agreement over Iran's nuclear program. While there will surely be important obstacles to moving forward, and success is by no means guaranteed, I believe we can reach a comprehensive solution.
The last direct conversation between leaders of the two countries was in 1979, before the Iranian Revolution that toppled the pro-U.S. Shah and ushered in an Islamic Republic.
The very fact that this was the first communications between an American and Iranian president since 1979 underscores the deep mistrust between our countries, but it also indicates the prospect of moving beyond that difficult history. I do believe that there is a basis for a resolution.
The 15-minute phone call capped a week of seismic change in U.S.-Iran relations. A day earlier, U.S. and European foreign policy chiefs hailed a very significant shift in Iran's attitude and tone during a meeting to discuss Iran's nuclear program. Alan Booknear, TVB News.
The UN Security Council voted unanimously last night to destroy Syria's chemical weapons stockpile. But it did not include punishing the Syrian government if it fails to comply. And because China and Russia have vetoed Western-backed resolutions in the past, this historic vote marks the first hopeful sign towards bringing an end to Syria's civil war. Sonia Altero reports.
All those in favor of eradicating Syria of its chemical weapons were asked to raise their hands, and lo and behold, all 15 permanent members of the UN Security Council did just that.
The draft resolution received 15 votes in favor, so the draft resolution has been adopted unanimously
Resolution 2118 was lauded for authorizing the inspection of Syria's chemical weapons, followed by removing and destroying them by the middle of next year.
Through peaceful means, it will, for the first time, seek to eliminate entirely a nation's chemical weapons capability.
It makes clear that in the event of non-compliance, the Security Council will take action.
All states have to abide by this resolution. All states, including those neighboring countries of Syria who are providing haven and supporting the terrorists.
Is that the Syrian regime is responsible for the massacre of 1,500 people, among them children, which has been condemned by the international community.
Even China's foreign minister was content with the outcome. Wang Yi said he was proud Beijing played a constructive role in negotiating the resolution. The U.S., Britain, and France originally wanted provisions for automatic enforcement if Syria fails to comply. But at Russia's insistence, there is a technicality in the resolution that calls for a second council vote should that happen. The council also endorsed securing a roadmap for Syria. The target date for a new peace conference in Geneva aimed at ending the country's civil war is mid-November. Sonia Artero, TVB News.
China and Japan continued a war of words over the Diaoyu Islands in New York. Speaking at a news conference, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Chinese government vessels were still sailing into waters surrounding the disputed islands known as the Senkakus in Japan. But he said the door to dialogue is always open. Also in New York, addressing the United Nations General Assembly, Foreign Minister Wang Yi said Beijing sincerely hopes to resolve the dispute through negotiation. China has said it will talk if Japan formally acknowledges sovereignty of the islands is disputed. Abe said Japan would make no such concession.
And welcome back. The leader of Greece's extreme right Golden Dawn Party and several other top party officials were arrested today and charged with forming a criminal organization. Nikos Mikaloliakos earlier accused the Greek government of carrying out a witch hunt against Golden Dawn, the country's third most popular party. It won 18 of 300 seats in last year's election when it ran on an anti-immigration agenda. The arrests come 2 days after a self-proclaimed party sympathizer admitted stabbing to death a popular Greek rap singer. Greece's coalition partners have argued for months over whether to ban Golden Dawn. The government said it has evidence Golden Dawn is a criminal organization that's been involved in a string of attacks over the past 2 years.
Emergency workers in India are still searching for anyone alive under the rubble of a collapsed apartment building in Mumbai where about 20 families lived. At least 25 people have been confirmed dead, while rescuers have saved more than 30 others. The 5-story building caved in without warning yesterday, trapping dozens and sparking an intense search mission. Authorities believe up to 35 bodies are still trapped inside. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, has used its strongest language yet in its latest report. Scientists now believe it's extremely likely that human activity is the dominant cause of global warming.
I would say if you've got a 95% probability that you're messing up the climate of this planet, I think that should be enough to motivate us towards action.
The decade 2001-2010 was the warmest on record, continuing the trend of global warming. More temperature records were broken than in any other previous decade. The rate of increase would have been even higher if it was not for the relative cooling influence of La Niña event and the role of deep ocean in absorbing the heat. So the IPCC report demonstrates that we must greatly reduce global emissions in order to avoid the worst effects of climate change.
And back locally, a hotel development plan on Lugard Road on the Peak is facing strong opposition from residents there. Ronnie Samtani has the details.
This majestic colonial mansion at 27 Lugard Road on the Peak has been named a Grade 2 historic building. Despite objections from the public, the Town Planning Board approved plans to redevelop the building into a hotel earlier this month.
I actually submitted a petition to the Planning Department, Transport Department, and also the Town Planning Board. We also have 14 Central and Western District councillors jointly sign an objection letter. We also have over 100 citizens signed on the objection letter submitted to the Planning Board as well. But unfortunately, the government neglected our opinion and continued to push forward.
Owners of the century-old building plan to convert the site into a 3- or 4-story boutique hotel. They also plan to build 2 additional villas, giving the hotel a total of 17 rooms. Residents are most concerned about the increase in traffic and pedestrian safety should the hotel be developed here. Lugard Road is the first section of the Hong Kong Trail and is frequented by hundreds of pedestrians every day.
Lugard Road is extremely narrow. Certain section is only 1.8 meter wide. So you can imagine if there's a vehicle passing by, pedestrian will be forced to be off the road and maybe probably sliding on the slope, which is very dangerous.
The Transport Department said this can be resolved by restricting vehicle access.
There's already a situation that both pedestrian and car vehicles using the road at the same time. I think with the permit condition we have said that can be controlled and it will be more appropriate solution.
Tam says the plan is to limit the number of vehicles heading to the hotel at certain times on weekends and public holidays to reduce traffic flow. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
About 300 people spiced up their weekend by taking part in the 3rd annual Dragon Dash. The urban treasure hunt around different parts of Hong Kong aims to raise money for local charities. Rachel Leung went and had a look.
Ready, set, and go. These people are hyped up for charity. We're ready to take over the city. Dragon Dash has been helping local charities. This year, their focus is on Feeding Hong Kong, a group that redistributes food surpluses to those in need.
This is your first time here?
Hi, Mom. Yes, it's for Feeding Hong Kong. People need to eat, so we're here to support.
All for the children, definitely all for the children. That's why we're doing it. We're doing it for the children.
The excitement started as participants dashed across Hong Kong, completing challenges in order to find out exactly where the finish line is. They had to use their brains as well as their legs.
After the teams have completed each challenge, they're given a code to enter into the Dragon Dash app, which can activate the next clue they will need to go to the next location.
They've got lots of initiatives going on, but one of the great initiatives they have is taking food from the hospitality industry and delivering that to those in need. Because previously there was this disconnect between too much food in the hotels and restaurants and hungry people on the other side of town, and no way of connecting the two groups.
The mission here is to help fight hunger in Hong Kong while reducing the amount of food being sent to landfills. Organizers hope to raise $100,000 with today's adventure race. Rachel Leung, TVB News.
And finally for tonight, honouring Pakistani teenager Malala Yousafzai. The girl's education advocate who survived an assassination attempt by the Taliban has been named Harvard University's Humanitarian of the Year.
The most powerful thing for me is education, is knowledge. Those people consider themselves powerful just because of having guns in their hands. But I think I am powerful and I will be powerful if I empower myself with education and with knowledge.
We educate women because it is fair. We educate women because it is smart. And we educate women, thank you Malala, we educate women because it changes the world.
Hundreds of students and faculty members applauded Malala when she took to the stage to accept the award. She said she's hoping to become a politician one day so that she can wield influence on a broad scale. And that's the news for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Good night.